again, my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. And today we have got ourselves a really super duper easy, quick, simple project. This is a 1-row crescent shawl. Yep. As soon as you get past the initial cast on, it is so easy. I think you guys are really going to like this because, yes, it's just total autopilot with garter stitching and a 1-row repeat for the increase. It is fabulous. Now, for this particular project, give you a look at the neckline here and the really pretty eyelets at the edge. For this project, I decided I wanted something for the fall. So I used Red Heart Super Saver stripes in the colorway of, well, fall. And for those of you that are not familiar with this yarn, it is a weight of 4. It is 100% acrylic, and I'm looking for yardage. It is about 236 yards. Now, I went into a second skein for my particular piece, and I didn't finish it, but you're going to need more than the one skein. Now, for this piece, I would say it is sort of a shawlette / neck scarf. I mean, the design itself is in that of a shawl, but with the dimensions, it's rather long, but it doesn't come down very far down your back. So I would say more of a shawlette, or in my case, a neck scarf. I like to put the bulk of it in the front, take the tails, wrap them around the back of my neck, and have them hanging in the front or scooched underneath for a nice neck warmer. So, that being said, also, for this piece, I used my circular knitting needles. Now, these are a size 11, which is, I'm looking for the millimeters. Bear with me. The millimeters. Okay, so this is 8 millimeters on my circular knitting needles. You can, of course, use whatever works best for you. I wanted to go on a bigger gauge so that it would lend itself to a really nice flowy, squishy drape. So, that being said, let's hop in and get started, shall we? Okay, so first things first, we have our circular knitting needles. Now, I'm using a much smaller length of cord than you're going to need for your piece. I would suggest in the 30-some-odd inch length for your cord. These are Chiaogus. I absolutely love these. By the way, not sponsored by either Chiaogu or Red Heart for that matter, but I always like to let you know what it is that I use in case if you want to duplicate the results. Also, for today's example, I'm using more Red Heart Super Saver, and this is, I believe, the colorway of Iceland or Icelandic, something along those lines, and I thought it might be a little bit easier for you to see on camera while we're working on it. So, let's get into the cast on. Okay, now initially we're only going to be casting on 3 stitches, so I'm going to do a long tail cast on, I think. So I have my initial slip knot on there and doing the sort of slingshot method. For other projects, I would do probably the long tail cast on, but for this, since it's only 3 stitches, I think we will be fine. Now, since we have that underway, to do the cast on for this particular piece, it is called the Garter Tab Cast On. So we're going to take these 3 stitches and create a little bit of a tab over the course of 7 rows. So got my little marker here. All right, so basically just knit these 3 stitches for 7 rows, and it works up really fast. So I'm going to do it on camera to show you. So I've got it's also easier for me when I'm not filming it. What can I say? All right, so that is officially one row. Woo, hello. Okay, and that is 2 rows. Three rows. Four rows. Five rows. I know this is riveting, right? 6 rows and one more row, and then we can work around the tab. And there we go. So your tab should look something like this, sort of a squishy little scarf for a mouse. There you go. Okay, so at this point, instead of turning your work as you normally would, we're going to pick up 3 stitches along this edge here. So turning your work 90 degrees, taking your other needle, and then going through the loops on the ridges, the garter ridges that we have here. We're going to pick up 3 stitches and going to pick up this one on the edge, and then this one, and then this one. So those 3 stitches, as long as they are even with the ridges, you know, as far as which specific one to go into, I would say dealer's choice, as long as it looks good for you in the end. So at this point, we're going to knit those 3 stitches. So now we have a total of 6 stitches. Now we need 3 more along this bottom edge. And this one, it's a little bit trickier and a little bit more fiddly, but again, just do the best you can. Nobody's judging here. So I'm going to go underneath this loop right here and knit that stitch. A little bit tricky, but we can do this. There we go. Get in there with a stitch. And then get underneath another stitch, another loop. And because I have not a lot of experience on garter tabs, I'm sure that there will be some people saying, "You're not doing it right." Well, I never said that I was. And then I'm going to grab another loop and knit that one as well. Okay, so now we have ourselves a total of 9 stitches to work with. And also you can pull that tail at the very end. So we have a total of 9 stitches. Now, basically, the way that I have figured out how to do this crescent is we're going to have 3 stitches on either side for the top border. Okay, if you want a wider border, well, then you would start off with initially 5 stitches, okay, and you would do more rows, and then you would end up with a total of 15. So you would start with 5, do your eyelets, do another 5, do your eyelets. We're going to get into that right now. So there is some leeway as far as if you want a bigger garter tab, but I digress. Let's get on to the actual patterning, shall we? Okay, so for the actual shawl, now that we have the cast on all done, going to knit the first 3 stitches as normal. You can do a slip stitch edge if you like. I honestly don't think it's that necessary. So just knit 3 stitches. Then yarn over, so wrap the yarn around to the front. Knit 3 stitches. Yarn over again, and then knit the last 3 stitches. It is that simple. Yep. And that is, in essence, the entirety of the project. And you're probably thinking, wait a minute, how does this work? Well, it's because instead of doing the next row being just knit all of our stitches, the knit stitches as well as the eyelet stitches, we've got one right there. You can see there's no bump. And then we have another one right here, again with no bump. We're going to be increasing every row instead of every other row. And so we're going to keep on keeping on in the same fashion. Knit 3 stitches. And you can see our yarn over from the previous row. Well, right now, yarn over, and then knit to the last 3 stitches. So knit this stitch, and then knit our way across until we have 3 stitches left. See, I got this yarn over. I'm going to knit that one. Okay, now, since I've got 3 stitches left, yarn over, knit those last 3. There we go. And then we do the same thing with the following row. So if you're looking for a project to work on where there are a lot of distractions, screaming children, irate spouse, and something really, really good on TV, this is perfect because you don't need to pay any attention to it. You can just go on autopilot. So again, knit 3. Oh, and I also forgot, needy pets. All right, I got the knit 3, then yarn over, and then we're going to knit to the last 3 stitches. and also because we aren't doing any sort of eyelets in the middle of our piece, it doesn't create a point. It has a nice rounded edge to it. So we have 3 stitches left, yarn over, and knit the last 3. It's that easy. And also this particular project lends itself to using some really wild colorways because since it is predominantly garter stitch, which it's not a very exciting stitch, but it is substantial, you can let the yarn, the colorway of the yarn, do the talking as opposed to some sort of really complex textured or lacy eyelet stitch do the talking. No, you can let the yarn do the talking on this one. So again, knit 3. And yarn over. And then knit your way to the end to the last 3 stitches. Yeah, because sometimes you want to use a really schmancy yarn with a lot of really interesting colors, but if the pattern has a lot of texture, or if there's some really cool design with the eyelets like diamonds and fans and whatnot, you don't want to take away from all of that complex stitch work by a very busy colorway. This, well, this is perfect. Okay, and just got one more. So stitch you, get you out of the way. And then yarn over and knit the last 3. Now, what I would strongly suggest is when your piece is big enough and you're ready to bind off, a stretchy bind off. Cannot recommend that enough. You know, if you have a tendency of binding off loosely and you're capable of doing that, great, more power to you. I, however, am not, so I use a bind off that is rather stretchy and lends itself to this sort of a bottom edge. So, you know what? Let's do that together. Okay, I also do have a video on this. It's called the Super Stretchy Bind Off. I use this for the vast majority of my projects because I have a tendency of stitching very tightly, especially with the bind off. I get very nervous and very tense, and, well, that lends itself to a very tight bind off, which is what we don't want for this particular project. So start off by knitting the first 2 stitches as normal, and then going in to the front of those 2 stitches, knit those 2 together like this. And then slide those 2 stitches off. You got 1 left on your needle. Knit the next stitch. And then do the exact same thing until you reach the end. Through the front. And knit these 2 together. And off. Be very careful about your yarn over. You don't want to lose that. Knit that stitch. And then going in through the front with your left needle. Now, to be honest, I don't understand the physics of why this works better than the typical knit 2 together, but it does. You know, it creates a really nice stretchy bind off. And it has yet to fail me. Another way that you could bind this off that I think would look rather nice, perhaps a crochet bind off. That is another neat alternative. Another thing that would look cool is if you add fringe to each bind off stitch. That would look rather nice, I think. There we go. And so really this is all there is to it. And usually I don't show the bind off on my tutorials, but I figure, you know what, this is such a simple and straightforward tutorial that I could spend a little extra time and show you the entirety, the start to finish, quite literally, of the project. And just a bunch more. Another thing that you can do is the very, very top edge. It has a tendency to sort of peak a little bit, creating sort of a bit of a bump. You can alleviate that with some blocking. Personally, it really doesn't bother me, but just want to put that out there in case if it does. All right, and then there's that, and then just a couple more. We're almost there already. Okay, careful of your yarn over stitch. It does have a tendency of wanting to fly off and get unruly. Just be mindful, be careful of that. And 3 more. And 2 more. And then last but certainly not least, there you go. All of my stitches have been bound off. Just pull this. You can cut your yarn and then pull this tail out. And there you go. Da, 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 da. Yes, this is a crescent shawl for a little mouse, but hey, it works. And as you can see, the edge has a nice stretch to it, so you don't have to worry about it, sort of bunching up and looking unruly and wonky and so forth. So there you go. The Crescent Shawl in just a 1-row repeat. Alrighty, my dears, so that is going to conclude the 1-row crescent shawl. Really hope that you liked today's video and found it informative and inspiring for you to make one of your very own. And if you did like the video, please give a little thumbs up button down below. You know that I appreciate your appreciation as always. And in the comments section, let me know what sort of yarn, what sort of colorways are you going to use when you make one of these. Always interested in your feedback, your constructive criticism, and insight into your creative journey and what it is that you like to do with these patterns. Yeah. So, that being said, I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay stitching, and please stay safe. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now, everybody, and have a great day.